The small, slender woman with apple red cheeks, graying hair, and shrewd, almost naughty little eyes sat with her face pressed against the cabin window of the BEA Viscount on the morning flight from London to Paris. As, with a rush and a roar, it lifted itself from the runway, her spirits soared aloft with it. She was nervous, but not at all frightened, for she was convinced that nothing could happen to her now. Hers was the bliss of one who knew that at last she was off upon the adventure, at the end of which lay her heart's desire. Hey guys, please excuse me sounding all nasally. I'm just recovering from a cold, but I just had to tell you about this movie before November 11, where we all lose our minds and that movie comes out. So the excerpt that I just read is from the book Flowers for Mrs. Harris, written by Paul Gallico, also known as Mrs. Arris Goes to Paris. Not Harris, Arris, because she's Cockney in it. The book was first published in the US in 1958 as Mrs. Arris Goes to Paris, and then later that year in the UK as Flowers for Mrs. Harris, the copy that I've got. But this is not a book review, this is a movie review about the movie Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris. They decided to add the H this time. I was so excited when I found out that they're making a movie out of this book because I really enjoyed reading it a few years ago. But then I discovered that it's not the first time that it's been made into a movie. Turns out that in 1992, they made a TV movie starring my favorite and beloved Dame Angela Lansbury. May her soul rest in peace. So that is now on my to-do list to watch the 1992 version of Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris. The movie and book is about a widowed charwoman or cleaning lady, housekeeper, who dreams of purchasing a whole Christian Dior dress in Paris at the House of Dior. Now you can imagine what a wild dream that is for a cleaning lady. Anyway, she does everything that she can to make sure that her dream becomes a reality. It's a sweet, delightful, heartwarming story. And look, in my opinion, the book is always better than the movie. Having said that, they did do a really good job of translating book to screen, and I think that they really captured the spirit of the book. It's set in 1950s London, and the costumes and set beautifully reflect that era, particularly that Christian Dior collection. Oh, stunning. The cinematography also does a brilliant job of differentiating between the gray and sort of grimy world that Mrs. Harris comes from and the light and colorful world that she dreams of going to in Paris. Leslie Manville plays Mrs. Harris, and she does a sterling job. She's both charming and endearing, and she also gives you the sense of a woman whose life is full of drudgery, which is why she desires to own this fancy and gorgeous Christian Dior gown to add color to her world. She gives a brilliant performance. This one is a steady jog to your nearest cinema. It's a nice break from all the blockbusters that have come out, the blockbusters that are still coming. It's just good, wholesome cinema, and I definitely recommend it. I also recommend the book. Look, guys, it's a short read. You'll be done in no time. So if you can, read the book and also watch the movie, Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris.